Hello. As a personal consulting doctor, I'm glad you've joined me today. If you've been following our discussions, you know that I believe nothing impacts your daily independence more than your vision. So what have your eyes been telling you lately? Do you find yourself squinting more often? Do certain colors seem less vibrant than they used to? These small shifts can signal a much larger concern. Today, we're continuing our exploration into protecting your eyesight after the age of 60. When it comes to vision health, the truth is that the most subtle habits can lead to the most significant improvements. Vision loss in older adults rarely happens suddenly. Instead, it's a slow, silent progression. Have you noticed any changes in your peripheral vision? Glaucoma, for example, quietly builds pressure inside the eye, damaging the optic nerve without any warning. Have you noticed a persistent blurriness or a dimness in your vision, as if a film is covering your eyes? That could be a sign of cataracts, which make everything appear duller and harder to distinguish. Or are you having trouble reading or recognizing faces, particularly in the center of your vision? That may be the gradual onset of macular degeneration, which slowly eats away at the central part of your sight. It's truly heartbreaking, and in my practice I've seen it countless times with my older patients. They often dismiss these changes as just part of getting older, until they can no longer read a recipe drive safely or clearly see their grandchildren's smiles. But here's the good news. You don't have to wait for your vision to worsen. You don't need to jump to expensive treatments or complex medical procedures. In fact, just 5 simple foods, nuts and seeds you may already have in your kitchen can provide a powerful defense for your eyes. Today, I'll walk you through which ones to choose, how they work to protect your vision, and the specific ways you should use them for your age. If you're new here, welcome to my channel, a space where we provide practical, science-backed tips to help you stay healthy, active, and independent as you age. If you find this information valuable, please consider subscribing. It's completely free and helps us reach more seniors who need to take charge of their health. Now let's get into the details, starting with the first powerful food for your eyes: walnuts. I know what you might be thinking. Walnuts, I've been eating those for years. But the truth is, most people don't realize just how vital walnuts are for vision, especially after age 60. Why? Because they directly target the main culprits behind age-related vision decline. First, they're loaded with omega-3 fatty acids, particularly a type called alpha-linolenic acid, or ALA. This plant-based omega-3 can be converted by the body into DHA and EPA, both of which are absolutely critical for retinal health and proper nerve function. The retina, the delicate part of your eye that captures light, is incredibly sensitive to damage from inflammation and poor circulation. As we get older, these issues become more common and begin to silently chip away at your vision. Walnuts work by helping to reduce chronic inflammation in the blood vessels around the eye. They also support healthy blood flow, which delivers more oxygen and essential nutrients to the retina and optic nerve. Second, walnuts are rich in vitamin E and polyphenols, natural antioxidants that help combat oxidative stress. This is one of the leading causes of macular degeneration, the condition where your central vision slowly fades, because oxidative stress also contributes to cataracts. Walnuts may play a role in slowing down the cloudy buildup on your eye's lens over time. In essence, these little brain-shaped nuts support your entire visual system, from the tiny capillaries behind the retina to the nerve fibers that transmit information from your eye to your brain. Let me tell you about one of my patients, Ruth, a 68-year-old retired teacher. She came to me last year because she had a family history of glaucoma and her eye pressure had begun to rise. She was rightfully scared, as her mother had lost vision in one eye in her 70s. We didn't rush to medication. Instead, we started with a small, manageable change. Every morning, Ruth added just 6 soaked walnut halves to her oatmeal. That's it. No drastic or intimidating changes. 3 months later, her eye pressure had stabilized, and her ophthalmologist told her, "Whatever you're doing, keep doing it." So how can you achieve similar results? Here's my professional recommendation. Eat 5 to 7 walnut halves per day, ideally raw or dry roasted and unsalted. If you find them difficult to chew or digest, simply soak them overnight in warm water to soften the skins and activate the enzymes. They're a perfect addition to oatmeal or yogurt chopped into a salad, or even blended into your morning smoothie. Just be mindful not to overdo it. A small handful is more than enough. Walnuts are very dense, not just in nutrients, but in calories. However, when consumed consistently, they provide your eyes with the vital fats and antioxidants they need to stay strong. It's a simple habit, but for your eyes, it's one of the most beneficial things you can do. Next, we're going to discuss a food that may look insignificant, but provides a massive boost to your eye's circulation and pressure support: chia seeds. Chia seeds may be tiny, but for aging eyes, they are a nutritional powerhouse. In many ways, they provide exactly what our eyes begin to lose after age 60. First, they are one of the richest plant-based sources of ALA omega-3 fatty acids. ALA alpha-linolenic acid is crucial for maintaining the structure and function of retinal cells, especially the photoreceptors that capture light and send signals to the brain. As we age, these retinal cells become more fragile. Blood flow to the eyes decreases, and the tiny capillaries in the eye stiffen, reducing oxygen delivery. This is where omega-3s come in. They help keep those vessels flexible, improve microcirculation to the retina, and reduce the low-grade inflammation that gradually damages eye tissues. But there's more. Chia seeds also contain lutein and zeaxanthin, two carotenoids that naturally accumulate in the macula, the part of the retina responsible for sharp central vision. These pigments act as natural blue light filters, shielding your retina from the oxidative stress caused by screens, LED lighting, and even sunlight. Why is this so important? Because macular degeneration isn't just a distant possibility. It's now the leading cause of irreversible vision loss in Americans over 65. The sooner you nourish your eyes with the nutrients they need, the better your chances of delaying that progression. Beyond that, chia seeds provide soluble fiber, which helps stabilize blood sugar and reduce systemic inflammation. Did you know that high blood sugar can damage the tiny vessels in the eye over time, contributing to diabetic retinopathy and even worsening dry eye symptoms? That's why I recommend chia seeds not just for seniors with vision problems, but especially for those with pre-diabetes, hypertension, or high cholesterol. But chia seeds are only effective if you use them correctly, and that's where many seniors make a mistake. If you eat them dry, chia seeds absorb water in your stomach, which can lead to bloating, constipation, or even a choking hazard. So here's the advice I give my patients. Always soak them first. Use 1 tablespoon of chia seeds and soak them in half a cup of water, unsweetened almond milk, or even Greek yogurt. Let them sit for 20-30 minutes or overnight if possible. The result is a soft, gel-like texture that is gentle on the stomach and safe for aging digestive systems. You can mix this into oatmeal smoothies or even a sugar-free pudding with fruit and cinnamon. Keep it simple and consistent. One of my patients, Linda, 70 years old, came in feeling discouraged after being diagnosed with early macular thinning. She felt like her world was shrinking. She also struggled with constipation and didn't tolerate fiber supplements well. We started with just 1 tablespoon of soaked chia seeds every morning, added to her breakfast yogurt. After 4 weeks, not only had her digestion improved, but her eye doctor noted that her macular pigment density was holding steady. More importantly, she felt in control again. That's the true power of chia seeds. They aren't magic, but they are consistently effective. And sometimes that's exactly what your eyes need to stay strong. If there's one single word that silently damages the aging eye, it's inflammation. Chronic low-grade inflammation doesn't make headlines, but it slowly erodes the delicate structures of your retina, weakens blood vessels, and accelerates the very diseases we fear most: glaucoma, macular degeneration, and retinal vein occlusion. That's where flax seeds truly shine. Like walnuts and chia flax seeds are rich in ALA omega-3s, but they also contain something extra: lignans, plant compounds with powerful anti-inflammatory and antioxidant properties. Lignans help lower inflammatory markers like C-reactive protein CRP, which are often elevated in older adults with heart disease, diabetes, or chronic eye disorders. They also support estrogen balance, which may help protect the retina post-menopause. But the real benefit for your vision comes from how flax seeds affect the blood vessels behind the eye. The retina is nourished by some of the tiniest capillaries in the body. If those vessels become stiff, inflamed, or clogged, as they often do with age, the retina suffers. Blood flow decreases, waste builds up, and vision begins to blur, especially under stress or in poor lighting. Flaxseed compounds help by keeping those vessels flexible, open, and free of inflammation. They also help regulate blood pressure, a key factor in preventing damage to the optic nerve and avoiding sudden vision events like retinal bleeds. There's one more thing. Flax seeds are rich in flavonoids like herbacetin and synthol, natural molecules that scavenge free radicals and protect the lens and macula from oxidative stress. This means they may help delay the formation of cataracts, especially with long-term use. But, and this is crucial, flax seeds are only effective if you use them properly. Whole flax seeds often pass through the digestive tract undigested, which means you get none of the benefit. That's why I always tell my patients to grind their flax seeds fresh. Use a small coffee grinder or spice mill. Just 10 to 15 seconds is enough. Once ground, store them in an airtight container in the refrigerator to preserve the delicate oils. The ideal dose is 1 to 1.5 tablespoons of ground flaxseed per day. You can mix it into yogurt, stir it into soup, or sprinkle it over whole grain toast with avocado. For seniors with constipation or digestive issues, flaxseed also provides a gentle mucilaginous fiber that soothes the gut, which is an added benefit many of my patients enjoy. One of them was George, a 75-year-old retired pharmacist. He had a history of high blood pressure and was already developing mild cataracts. His eye doctor told him, "We'll just watch it." But George didn't want to simply wait. He wanted to act. We added 1 tablespoon of ground flaxseed to his lunch smoothie. Nothing fancy. 2 months later, his blood pressure was more stable. His digestion had improved, and most interestingly, his night glare had slightly reduced. It wasn't dramatic, but it was a real, tangible change. And for George, it gave him a sense of purpose and progress. That's the beauty of flax seeds. They work slowly and steadily, just like the damage they're fighting. But over time, they help your eyes hold the line. If there's one nutrient that aging eyes are starving for, it's vitamin E, and few foods deliver it as generously and affordably as sunflower seeds. These tiny seeds are among the richest natural sources of vitamin E, a fat-soluble antioxidant that plays a central role in protecting your eyes from oxidative stress. Here's how it works. As we age, our eyes are constantly bombarded by UV light pollution and internal oxidative damage. This creates free radicals, unstable molecules that gradually wear down the lens, retina, and macula. Over time, this contributes to cataracts, macular degeneration, and even chronic dry eye. Vitamin E acts like a shield. It neutralizes free radicals before they can damage eye tissues. It also helps preserve the integrity of retinal cells, especially in the macula, the central area that helps us see detail, color, and movement. But sunflower seeds don't stop there. They are also a natural source of selenium and zinc, 2 minerals that support enzymatic repair mechanisms inside the eye. Zinc is particularly important for maintaining healthy levels of vitamin A in the retina, and selenium enhances the activity of glutathione, one of the eye's main detoxifying agents. Together, these nutrients can help slow the progression of macular degeneration and support the health of the tiny blood vessels in the eye that are vulnerable to age-related damage. Now here's a common observation I've made with my older patients. Many of them unknowingly consume too little vitamin E, especially those on low-fat diets or with absorption issues. This creates a nutritional gap, and sunflower seeds are one of the best ways to fill it naturally. Let me tell you about Marie, a 69-year-old former seamstress. She came to me feeling frustrated by constant eye strain and a persistent haze over her vision, especially in the afternoon. Her blood work showed low vitamin E levels, and she had borderline hypertension. We made one simple change: a quarter cup of unsalted sunflower seeds each day, sprinkled over her soup or salad. After 6 weeks, she reported less eye fatigue and less halo glare from headlights at night. She felt sharper and more focused, and she wasn't reaching for her reading glasses as often in the evening. So how should you incorporate them? Start with 2 to 4 tablespoons, about a quarter cup of unsalted, dry roasted sunflower seeds daily. Make sure to choose seeds without added salt or oil, especially if you have high blood pressure or heart issues. You can add them to yogurt oatmeal smoothies or simply eat them as a snack. Just remember to chew slowly. They're dense, and a little goes a long way. For those with weak digestion or dentures, grinding them slightly or soaking them in warm water for 10 minutes can make them easier to chew and absorb. One note of caution: while sunflower seeds are incredibly healthy, avoid the pre-packaged versions with excessive salt flavorings or oils. They often cancel out the health benefits. When used correctly, these seeds are a daily dose of eye protective power. They're easy to store and enjoy, and they quietly work in the background. They may not be flashy, but in the fight against eye aging, they are one of your best allies. There's a reason almonds have been a staple in traditional medicine for centuries. They're mild, easy to digest, and full of nutrients. But when it comes to eye health, after 60 almonds play a quiet yet powerful role. Let's start with their most well-known compound, vitamin E, specifically alpha tocopherol, the most biologically active form. This antioxidant works directly inside your eye to protect the macula and lens from oxidative damage. Free radicals, unstable molecules produced by aging sunlight and pollution, attack the cells of the retina and lens over time. Vitamin E helps stop that damage before it takes hold, especially in the central part of your vision that allows you to see faces, read, and drive. Several studies have shown that a regular intake of natural vitamin E can help slow the progression of age-related macular degeneration (AMD), the leading cause of vision loss in older adults. It also helps delay the development of cataracts by protecting the proteins in the eye's lens from clumping together and becoming cloudy. But that's not all almonds offer. They contain healthy monounsaturated fats, the same type found in olive oil, which support the lipid layer of your TR film. This helps prevent dry eye syndrome, a frustrating condition common among older adults who often experience stinging redness or a gritty sensation. Almonds also supply modest amounts of zinc and magnesium, which are needed for proper nerve transmission from the eye to the brain, as well as the regulation of light-sensitive cells in the retina. For those with sensitive digestion or dental issues, almonds are often better tolerated than other nuts. When soaked overnight, they become softer, easier to chew, and gentler on the gut, which is especially helpful for seniors prone to bloating or constipation. One patient who benefited from this simple food was Nora, a 72-year-old widow who lived alone and struggled with tired eyes. She loved to read, but said her vision would blur after just 20 minutes. She also had difficulty adjusting to light changes, like walking from a bright room into dim lighting. We didn't prescribe anything complicated. Instead, we added 6 soaked almonds each morning, peeled and eaten slowly with a bit of warm water. After just 1 month, she told me her reading time had doubled. And after 2 months, she felt less strain when doing puzzles or sewing. There was no magic involved, just a small, quiet change that helped her feel more like herself again. If you'd like to try this, here's my recommendation. Start with 5 to 7 almonds per day. Soak them overnight in a glass of warm water. In the morning, peel off the skins as this removes tannins that can inhibit nutrient absorption. Eat them slowly on an empty stomach or blend them into a smoothie with banana and oats for a nourishing breakfast. Avoid roasted or salted almonds, especially if you have high blood pressure or kidney concerns. Raw, soaked, and simple is truly the best approach. Over time, this gentle habit provides your eyes with a steady stream of protection, like giving your vision a soft daily hug from the inside out. Sometimes the most powerful medicine isn't loud. It's quiet and consistent, starting with something as simple as a handful of almonds. Now that you've learned about these 5 powerful foods, walnuts, chia seeds, flax seeds, sunflower seeds, and almonds, you might be wondering, do they really work? And my professional opinion is that they absolutely do, but only when used correctly and consistently. Each of these seeds and nuts brings something unique to the table. Walnuts protect the optic nerve with anti-inflammatory omega-3s. Chia seeds improve eye circulation and help filter blue light with lutein. Flax seeds reduce retinal inflammation and stabilize fragile capillaries. Sunflower seeds flood the retina with vitamin E, zinc, and selenium. Almonds gently hydrate the eyes and support macular clarity. Together they form a kind of daily nutritional armor, defending your eyes from the 3 most common threats after 60 glaucoma cataracts and macular degeneration. But here's the key that most people miss. It's not about consuming them once. It's about building a daily rhythm, small, doable, and enjoyable. You don't need to eat them all at once or meticulously count every milligram. You simply need to make them a part of your life. Maybe it's walnuts in your oatmeal chia seeds, in your morning yogurt. Ground flax mixed into soup sunflower seeds, sprinkled over a salad, and soaked almonds before breakfast. All it takes is 1 or 2 of these foods per day, repeated calmly for a few weeks. No pressure, no need for perfection, just progress. I've seen it time and time again in my practice. Patients who committed to this for 4 to 6 weeks started noticing clearer vision in dim light, less glare at night, and less eye fatigue in the evening. Some have even told me I finally recognized my neighbor's face across the street again. But those who gave up after only a few days missed out on what could have been. Just imagine yourself 4 weeks from now, reading with more comfort, watching television without squinting, and looking at your grandchild's face and seeing every smile line clearly. That's the power of a small habit done with care. And the best part is you're not relying on pills or procedures. You're using real food to nourish and defend your most precious sense. If you've made it this far, I want to personally thank you. You have taken the time to learn about your body, your eyes, and what you can do to protect them. That already puts you 1 step ahead of most people. Unfortunately, too many seniors are led to believe that vision loss is just an inevitable part of aging. They're told to accept it and get used to it, but I don't believe that, not for a second. You are not powerless. It is not too late, and you are definitely not alone. Small changes like a handful of seeds or soaked nuts, a daily sprinkle here and there can make a genuine difference when done with consistency and care. If you've been feeling discouraged or unsure where to begin, my advice is to just start with one. One food, one step, one morning. Your eyes and your future self will thank you for it. If you found this video valuable, I would be so grateful if you would like it, share it with someone you care about, or leave a comment to tell others what's helped you. Your story might be exactly what someone else needs to hear. And if you're new here, I invite you to subscribe to my channel. This is a space for real solutions, compassionate advice, and the belief that your best years are still ahead. Please take care of your eyes. They have helped you see a lifetime of memories, and they deserve your protection too. Thank you for watching.